for the first 30 seconds. Imagine a world where Superman does not fall because of corruption, mind control, or a single tragic punch, but because of patience finally running out. A story where every small compromise stacks into something irreversible, where hope becomes pressure, expectations become chains. And the strongest hero alive discovers that being perfect for too long can be more dangerous than being evil for a moment. Because this is not a tale about Superman turning into a villain overnight. It is about how the DC Universe quietly pushes its greatest symbol to the edge until snapping becomes not shocking, but inevitable. And by the end of this video, you will understand why this moment permanently rewrites power, trust, and the very meaning of heroism. This story begins in a DC universe that relies on Superman not just as a protector, but as a solution, a safety net, and a moral compass all at once. Because when Superman exists, everyone else subconsciously lowers the volume on their own responsibility. Wars are delayed instead of resolved, disasters are endured instead of prevented, and villains escalate, knowing that Superman will arrive before things truly collapse. The universe becomes comfortable with last-second rescues. And comfort, as history loves to prove, is the most dangerous drug of all. What makes this story curious and oddly funny is how Superman keeps winning while still losing ground. Because every save adds another expectation, every miracle becomes a baseline, and every restraint is interpreted not as mercy, but as permission. Superman does not snap because he is angry, but because he is tired in a way that sunlight and hope cannot fix. Tired of hearing that everything is under control, simply because he exists? Tired of watching leaders gamble with lives knowing he will clean up the mess? And tired of being praised for holding the universe together while being blamed for not doing more? The DC Universe, in its infinite wisdom, responds to Superman's consistency by testing it. Because once people believe something is unbreakable, they lean on it harder. Conflicts grow larger, threats grow louder, and villains stop fearing consequences because even failure feels temporary when Superman is around. There is a dark comedy in how the universe treats him like an emergency button rather than a person, summoning him for catastrophes while ignoring the quiet decisions that create them. Superman's snapping point does not arrive with a single tragedy, but with accumulation, with the realization that restraint has become a liability rather than a virtue. Every time he chooses not to intervene fully, someone interprets that as weakness or approval. Every time he intervenes too much, someone accuses him of overreach. The balance becomes impossible, and Superman begins to understand that no amount of goodness can satisfy a universe that refuses to grow up. The intrigue deepens when Superman decides to stop asking for permission, not in rage, but in clarity. He does not declare himself ruler or executioner, but he starts making final decisions, ending conflicts decisively, removing threats permanently, enforcing peace where negotiation has failed for centuries. The universe improves immediately in measurable ways. Wars end overnight, invasions stop mid-launch, and villains disappear before their plans become headlines. For a moment, everything works. And that is what makes this story terrifying. There is a strange, uncomfortable humor in how quickly the DC Universe adapts to this new Superman, praising the results while quietly fearing the method. Heroes hesitate to challenge him because he is right too often. Governments protest while benefiting from stability. And civilians enjoy peace without asking who paid the price. Superman does not become cruel. He becomes efficient. And efficiency without accountability changes the rules faster than violence ever could. The story grows darker as Superman realizes that snapping was not a loss of control, but a shift in perspective. He sees patterns others refuse to see, recognizes cycles no one wants to break, and understands that endless second chances have created endless catastrophes. The idea that everyone deserves redemption collides with the reality that not everyone wants it, and Superman begins acting on outcomes rather than intentions. What truly changes DC forever is not Superman's power, but the precedent he sets. Once the strongest hero decides that some debates are over, every other hero is forced to reconsider their limits. Batman sees a future he has always feared. Wonder Woman recognizes echoes of ancient truths, and the universe begins asking whether freedom is worth constant destruction. Superman becomes the center of a philosophical earthquake that shakes every alliance, belief, and unspoken rule. The most intriguing part of this story is that Superman never stops believing in hope. He simply redefines it. Hope, to him, becomes the absence of suffering rather than the presence of choice. This is where the universe splits, because peace achieved without consent feels different, even if it works. The line between protection and control blurs, and Superman stands alone at its center, fully aware that stepping back would undo everything he has built. As the consequences ripple outward, resistance grows not from villains, but from those who fear a future where Superman is always right. The universe realizes that a perfect guardian leaves no room for growth, mistakes, or self. Superman hears these concerns, understands them, and still does not stop, because he has seen what hesitation costs, and he refuses to watch another world burn for the sake of philosophical comfort. The snapping is complete, not when Superman loses his temper, but when he accepts that being loved is no longer possible if he continues. He trades admiration for stability, trust for certainty, and legacy for results. The DC universe becomes safer and smaller at the same time, protected but constrained. And Superman becomes a symbol not of hope, but of inevitability. By the end of this story, DC is forever changed. Because the question is no longer whether Superman is good or bad, but whether a universe can survive without choosing its own path. Superman does not fall. He ascends into something harder to define, and that ambiguity is what haunts every future timeline. If you enjoyed this funny, curious, and deeply intriguing full story about the moment Superman finally snaps, make sure to subscribe for more epic DC breakdowns. Comment below with your thoughts on whether Superman was right or wrong, and share this video with fellow fans who love exploring the consequences behind absolute power.